So you've seen the charts this week. You've seen the price of silver and gold take a sudden, violent tumble. And if you've been watching the corporate news, you know exactly what they're telling you. They're saying, don't worry, the economy is strong and the dollar is back, and have fun with your boomer rocks while the S&P 500 goes to the moon. But you have to wonder, is that actually true, or is there something else going on? Let's look at facts here, not feelings. We like facts. On a macro level, we're being told that inflation is cooling. That's the line. But have you been to a grocery store lately? Have you checked the price of a head of lettuce? It doesn't feel very cool, other than physically, of course. The Federal Reserve is playing a game of chicken with reality. They're keeping the rates high to save the dollar. But at the time, the national debt, that $34 trillion mountain, is growing by $1 trillion every 100 days. Think about that. Every time you blink, Washington has spent another $1 million of your grandchildren's money. And they want you to believe that that paper promise from a government that can't pass a budget is safer than physical silver. It's hilarious. Really. Now let's talk about it on the micro level, the silver squeeze. While the paper price on the COMEX is being smashed by hedge funds who have never seen a bar of silver in the real world, the world where things are actually made is facing a crisis. The Silver Institute just released data confirming, for a fifth year in a row, the world is in a massive structural deficit. We are using more silver than we're digging out of the ground. Every solar panel, every electric vehicle, every computer chip requires it. You know this. You can't print silver. You can't policy it into existence. You have to find it, mine it, and refine it. So why did the price of silver and gold go down as it did? Well, that's kind of the question of this week, isn't it? Some say it's because of this right here, that just having a different Fed chair strengthens the dollar, which then in turn changes the way people see silver and gold. If demand is at an all-time high and the supply is at a multi-year low, why is the price dropping? It's a total disconnect from reality. It's like a car dealership lowering the price of trucks while the lot is completely empty. It doesn't really make sense unless, of course, the people setting the price don't want you to really own the metal. But here's the good news. We aren't Panic Peters here. We aren't the people who sell everything the second a line on a screen turns red. We're the monthly Miltons. We know that when the elites start screaming that gold and silver are dead, that usually is the exact moment they're filling their own vaults. We've seen the banks do that recently. So now I want to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me, are you seeing this dip as a disaster, or is this the clearance sale of a century? Are you adding to your stack this week like I did, or are you waiting for the dust to settle? Let's talk about it. Because the more they try to tell us that everything is fine, the more I'm glad I have a little bit of weight in my hand. So make sure you stay free and you stay physical. And stay tuned, because we're going to see how the markets moved this week. We will see actual charts of the crazy path of your silver and gold and where they've traveled in this most historic of weeks. So as we start, as we often do, we'll go into the stock market, which had a little bit of a wild ride, as these charts suggest. So here we are, Dow Jones. No all-time highs to be had here, folks. But hey, Dow Jones wasn't so far off. As you see, 48892, down 179 points on Friday. A lot of crazy things happened on Friday. All-time high, the 12th, so we're about 15 days out there. You can see the roller coaster that we've been on, but we're not so far here from the all-time high. S&P, a little bit different story. 6939 here, down 29 points. All-time high was on the 27th, which was just a couple of days ago. As you see right here, that was the high. We've then come down. So we did have an all-time high this week. Very good there, S&P 500. NASDAQ, the one that just can't seem to get it together. 23,461, down 223 points. All-time high was on the 29th, right there by Halloween. There's our roller coaster. You notice we did get really close right here. Just didn't quite hit it because right there at about the 24K mark is where that all-time high is. So very close there. It'll be an interesting week to see how things move. But on a macro scale, there's some weird things going on internationally. Look at this. In the Americas, everything was down. Canada, negative 3.32%. What is happening in Canada? That's a very big move. Brazil down 1.37%. Chile down almost a full percent. Mexico down 2.38%. Very interesting there because here in Europe, we have almost the opposite. They're not as wild of gains, but they're all on the positive side. One notably being Israel, who's opened back up their market. They're at 1% gained. South Africa taking a tumble, negative 4%. Now we've seen South Africa be a little bit volatile in the past, but I would think that being a nation that has the rand mint and kind of was one of the founders of the bullion industry, they would have been still pretty high on this week, but I don't know. Spain up 1.66%. Everything else pretty well in line until we get to Asia, and we have another macro trend. Most things being down quite a bit. We see Hong Kong being there at 2% down. China is also on the list at almost a full percent down. Australia, about a 0.5% there. Taiwan, negative 1.45. So that's kind of the macro world trends. You saw what the markets were doing. All that stuff is going on right now. But what about your metals? We saw some crazy things going on in the world of metals, did we not? So first, let's take a look at our friend silver. Silver closed this week losing a digit, $86.61 to silver. That is crazy. It is down $17.40. The low was sitting in the 70s, folks. And that is 16% down. Now, we need a little bit of context. Some people say, oh, silver, they lost all the gains and all that kind of stuff. Yes, silver was at well over $100. We know that to be true. But if we look at it in the year to date, silver is still up, folks. 19%, almost 20%. They still are $14 higher than it started on January 1st. So when we look at it more of the macro lens, silver is still doing fine. It just might be a little bit of a correction. We shall see as this next week plays out. So don't go crying to anybody because the losses, you're still doing pretty good. Now gold, see if there's any differences here. Gold ended the week at $4,905. So gold took a really big hit, as you know, because they were sitting well in the 5,000s. I think it was 5,500 at one point. In fact, I have it right here. Yes, in the 5,500s, almost 5,600. So gold lost 2% on the week. Not quite as staggering as silver. It lost $100. But we go to the year to date once again, and it's still up 13%. A gain of $571. So both of these are still fantastic. On the week, gold did better than silver, but year to date, silver is still beating gold. So that being said, hold on to the shiny stuff that you have. It might be a wild ride, but this might be your seatbelt that will keep you safe as the world spins. So that is what we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to help this channel with no cost to you, then check out this link. It goes to APMEX. If you want to buy some silver, some gold, some palladium, platinum, copper, whatever it is, go ahead and think about using this link because I am an affiliate with them, and every time you click this link and buy something from them, they say thank you to me, which then helps our channel grow, where we love to give away silver and all that other kind of stuff. So that being said, thank you so much for watching, and as always, please remember to stay glassy and current with the culture of currency.